Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Good at GP podcast. Today we are talking all things the Dutch Grand Prix. I'm Billy, and I'm joined by Bradley today. How's it going, mate?
I'm good. I enjoyed the race at the weekend. It was great to have F1 back, and it was a good return to the sport after a boring couple of races before the summer break.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Zandvoort doesn't always bring the best racing, so I was kind of expecting a slow start back into Formula One, but that changed in a hurry. I think maybe the threat of rain kind of started it off with a bit more excitement, but then just all the chaos that happened around it really is kind of what made the day. And I mean, should we just get straight into it?
Yeah, I'm down.
Obviously, kind of affected by the rain, you could argue. Hamilton's crash, understeer in turn three. There we go, just do my maths on the fly, and just kind of puts it in the wall. It's a very weird error for him. Like, we've seen him do so well in the wet in the past, and I mean, he's kind of known for his wet weather driving in certain places. So this was just kind of an odd mistake to see. I don't know what you think about that one.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was quite clearly just a skill issue. At that point, it was just a mistake. I mean, it's quite funny. If it had happened a little bit later, he would have just about avoided that sticking out part of the barrier. Obviously, he might have ended up in the barrier just a bit further along, but that collision might have changed things. It might have just given a bit of damage and him been able to continue. But ultimately, his error, I think he'll know that, and not how he would have wanted to start after the summer break. I mean, in quali, he looked decent.
Mm.
He had been having a decent weekend up until that point, but that was quite a major turning point and something that he won't want heading into Monza. Obviously, Ferrari Tifosi, it's going to be a tough one for them, I reckon, especially obviously with Hamilton's grid penalty.
Yeah, I actually only found out about that this morning. About that penalty. I was like, oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, it's great being a Hamilton fan in the old year of 2025. But yeah, like you say, Bradley, it was such a good weekend before that for him. Like, I think the narrative for him in this second half is to kind of make a bit of a comeback, show the old stripes that he has. Um, but obviously, you see a decent quality. I wouldn't say he's back to his best by any stretch of the imagination, but when he puts it in the wall like that, you just look at it and go, "Oh, we're still in the same, we're still in the same struggle bus we've been in for the first 14 rounds." So this one hurt as a Hamilton fan, but I digress.
Yes, obviously he now holds the record for most races without a podium for Ferrari.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, gosh. I
so there
mean,
you go.
what a twist in the tail would it be if he actually got something at Monza? It'd be
If he
insane.
just turns up and wins Monza and then disappears again.
Look, I'd take it. But this is such a crazy narrative that we're talking about him not being able to get a podium this year. Because I think a couple years down the line in 2022, and we're sat there going, Hamilton might lose his streak for not winning a race in every year of his career.
Hmm.
And you talk 4 years on and we're saying he might not get a podium this year. It's
Yep.
insane because you also then look at the constructors and they're still second in the constructors. And you go, wait, hang on a minute. Like, surely he's got a chance by now to go for something. But I feel like the constructors really is showing like a skewed image of this year. I think it doesn't help that Red Bull don't have a second driver that is up there with Verstappen.
Same with Merck, to be fair.
Yeah, Antonelli's really struggled recently. It's a shame
Mm.
because
Mm.
I think he was on for a good weekend, but we'll get on to
Yes.
all of
Yes.
that. We'll open that can of worms in a minute.
Yes.
Speaking of a can of worms, I have a feeling you're going to have a rant about this next one. Sainz's penalty. This was so stupid. I mean, I'll start off with a little bit of a rant, but I can tell you now, Bradley's will be longer than mine. I've just never seen somebody get driven into when they're on the outside, and then them be considered the one at fault. Like, when has that ever been the case ever? Um, it's an odd one. I admittedly haven't seen Lawson's POV, but even if Lawson did have a snap and had to correct himself and kind of go a bit wider into Signs, and Signs didn't give enough room, I don't know what reasoning they actually gave for it. Like, surely it's still a racing incident either way. Like, I I just don't understand where the FIA got this. Like, were they even looking at the same race, like, or were they looking at a race where Signs maybe did crash into someone and go, I mean, yeah, he did it there, so he probably was at fault here. Like, that's the only thing I'm looking at here and going, oh, that's probably what they did, because you've either got to be drunk or you've got to be stupid to think Signs is at fault for that. Surely.
Well, I mean, I think the logic was that Science wasn't far enough alongside to have earned room, and so thus contact was made because he wasn't entitled to space. It's then his fault. But
Mm,
it's still such a brain dead decision to
yeah.
give him a 10-second penalty for that. I mean, literally I know nobody that has gone, you know what, that's fair enough. Literally
Mm,
everybody, I was watching it with family and we've all gone like, what? Why has a penalty been given there? It If it had been left as no further action, we all would have gone, you know what, they both got punches, they're both now
yeah.
last and not getting anywhere, is what it is, not too fast. Like, when I looked at it, I didn't think anyone was really at fault. Like, I
Mm,
still feel a penalty for Lawson would have been harsh. Maybe not as
yeah.
harsh as the punishment for Saints, but it still would have been harsh, and I wouldn't have given a penalty either way.
Mm,
Um, but I cannot see the logic behind giving the decision the way the decision's been gone. It's awful, and I think it highlights issues. I mean, we've spoken about issues with the rulings and how it's written uh,
mm,
in the FIA rulebook, but with some common sense, we can come to a better decision. I feel like that some wordings, and again, we've spoken about this before, particularly at Jeddah, obviously with the Verstappen Piastri start incident. Um, just because something is written that way doesn't mean we should then give stupid decisions just because, nah, there needs to be some level of common sense, some level of interpretation within those rules, a bit like some freedoms that referees have in football. I mean, we get enough controversies over there as well, don't get me wrong. But I don't know, it was just a shame to see a penalty be given and 2 penalty points for something that was, if you're being very nitpicky, more likely to be Lawson's fault than Science's.
mm.
But we'll get on to
No, I
part
think
2 of the FIA rant later.
I think the worst part of it, because his race was kind of over anyway, like, didn't really matter the time part of it, but it's the fact he's been given 2 penalty points for being on the outside of someone who's drifted wide.
Mm.
Like, sure, he hasn't got enough. He wasn't entitled to space, but they were also mid corner, so like it wasn't like he was getting pushed out or anything. It's just the fact that Lawson's come outside a bit more than Sainz was expecting, and they've both got punches off it. It's yeah, like I think that's the bit that confused me the most was the 2 penalty points decision, because if it was a time penalty and no penalty points, you kind of go, well, okay, it's a stupid ruling, but like he
It
was
doesn't
kind of
affect
nowhere
him.
anyway after the puncher.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you kind of have that, but you just like why? Like this is like the weird, like this just stumps me. Like I can't even like give any like sort of like, oh, but they might be thinking this, because I'm just absolutely stumped on why they even did it in the first place.
Yep.
um, but I digress. Moving on. uh, from going from Science to one of Science's former teammates, Charles Leclerc this is more of an honourable mention. I don't think many people are talking about this, but I want to just get
Oh, I will.
your point of view. I want to get a point of view on this move because obviously when I say this move, I'm talking about lap 34. Leclerc's pass on Russell was very aggressive, bit of contact. I think the people who always say the sport is too soft these days absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it because I don't know, it was just you just never see a move into that corner, and it was audacious and it was fun. I just really enjoyed the move. There wasn't any major damage between the two of them, and I like seeing that close racing. So I enjoyed it. But Bradley, what did you think on that move there? I'm interested to know.
I mean, for me, I didn't mind the move. The move I felt was fine. It was aggressive, but I think it needed to be. Um,
Mm.
I liked it. I think the sport needs more of it.
Mhm.
However, FIA announces it's under investigation. Okay,
Mm.
fine, whatever. If it's against the rules based on the ruling, that's then again an issue with the rules rather than, you know, just how it is. Go like 10-ish laps of it being under investigation. Then it just pops up on the screen. It'll be investigated after the race. So, why? Why? There's no need. There was no
Mm.
need. Like, there had been nothing going on. It's not as if we had just had safety car after safety car and then a red flag and then a VSC. It's not as if the FIA were particularly busy. But
Yeah.
it's so frustrating when we know they can come to decisions quickly, as we had seen earlier on in the race with the Lawson Sainz incident, and gone, yeah, screw you, Sainz. But not only have they gone, we'll investigate it after the race because we feel like it. Investigating after the race is such a stupid precedent that they've been setting this season, because all it then allows them to do is go, what penalty can we give people that doesn't actually have any effect on the result, because we don't want people to be complaining that we're affecting the result, while still looking like we're doing our jobs, when in reality we're really not.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because there's no point to wait until after the race, because then people will finish and then be waiting, because people then, like, let's say Hadjar was under investigation for something. What happens then? Can he celebrate his podium? Does he wait until the investigation comes back? Like, what if he celebrates the podium and then it gets taken away from him? You can't, like, sort it out in the race so that everyone knows and people can react to it. Or, in the very rare scenarios it's been a busy race, immediately after the race, like as soon as possible, come to a decision. We don't want to be waiting hours after the fact for penalties to come through.
Hmm.
So, sort it out in the race and just get on with it. And then we can all move on. We don't need to spend our time looking at the internet for 5-6 hours after the race, waiting for the FIA to come, no further action. Because that's the only reason they said no further action was because Leclerc DNF'd and they didn't want to give him a grid penalty for Monza. If he had finished and he had been 5 seconds or 10 seconds ahead of the car behind him, you can guarantee that's the penalty they would have given him. Because whilst I like the move, I do feel like he was off track, so I feel like they would have given the penalty for, gaining an advantage. So if he finishes, 6 seconds ahead of the car behind him, they'll just slap a 5-second penalty on. He keeps his position, and the FIA look like they're doing their job. Which is why they wait until then, rather than let's give it in the session. Because then, if a late race safety car happens, Leclerc gets screwed, and then you've got people complaining. And it's just so frustrating that we keep
Yeah.
having to bring up the FIA this season about decisions they've made, why they're making certain decisions, how long they're taking to make certain decisions. And this is just another on a long list of things that people have issues with when it comes to the FIA.
Does the team that makes the decisions need to be bigger? Because I know you said they weren't busy, which they weren't, but I feel like they make a lot of decisions based on, oh, we don't have time to make that decision. What if another incident happens? They are a multi-million, possibly billion dollar corporation, surely they can invest in having more team members to where they can have a team that keeps an eye on the race and a team that goes through any incidents and decisions, because it's very rare we have more than one or two decisions going on at one time.
Hmm. I
You
mean,
wouldn't
hell, I mean,
need.
there are so many fans that you could probably offer to teach that would gladly do it as well. Like, it's
Definitely.
not as if people wouldn't do it and wouldn't sign up for it. There are so many fans out there that, with the right training, would be brilliant at it and would love to do it. But I think not
Wink,
only does it
wink.
potentially need to be bigger, well, yeah, I mean, look, just get me in there. Not only does it need to necessarily be bigger, but I think it needs to be permanent, because
Yeah.
ultimately the only way we will get consistency is by having the consistency in the people making the decisions, rather than it changing every race weekend. And I get, logistically travel isn't the easiest, but they don't necessarily need to be directly at the race.
No, this can be remote because they're only looking at screens anyway.
That's right.
And I think they do forget they're a very popular sport. Very popular sport. Like, take advantage of the fact you've got fans that would want to do it. Like, heck, there's people that dream out there to be in the sport, and they don't care how big the job is, how important the job is. They just want to
Mm.
be in it. They want to say, "Oh, I worked in Formula One for a year, 2 years, however long." Like, take advantage of that, because you can, and you've got the money, you've got plenty of people lining up the door. What's actually stopping you? Because it benefits.
Laziness, which is why we're
Yeah,
waiting, getting decisions like 6 hours after the race.
no, exactly, because it benefits them if they do it. So
Yeah,
there's no reason for them not to do it.
we're not going to be like,
It's
oh, they're making decisions in the race. How terrible is that?
Yeah, like, I know they said they don't want to affect the racing, but they are affecting the racing.
Mm.
And if Leclerc did get a penalty after the race, he could argue, "Oh, I would have gone quicker, knowing if I had 10 seconds, it motivates me subconsciously, and I would have gone quicker."
Exactly.
So, yeah, I digress. I digress. Let's talk about a more nailed on incident, also involving the number 16. Antonelli decided he wanted to do his best Max Verstappen China impression, and kamikaze down the inside into turn three. Everyone's favourite corner for this weekend, I think. I don't think anybody's talked about this corner more. And yeah, Leclerc got a lovely little helping of a Mercedes front wing.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Leclerc had just come out the pits, and
Mm,
Antonelli knew that if he wanted to get past, it had to be whilst Leclerc's tyres were still cold. So he just went for it up the inside of turn three, which, I mean, fair enough, sometimes it can work.
mm,
Just got it slightly wrong and copped a penalty for it that is fully deserved. But then again, you now
yeah.
have the comparison of what Antonelli did, what Sainz did, getting the same penalty. And it's like, it doesn't really fit. Because
Mm,
Sainz shouldn't have got a penalty. But there we go. Yeah, the Antonelli incident was nailed on. It's just a mistake from Antonelli. It's a shame because he was having a decent weekend up until that point, was looking to
yeah.
score decent points, potentially a top five, especially obviously with what would happen later on in the race. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, it ultimately meant no points for him. And yeah, now on the same amount of points as Albon this season. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
learning curve for Antonelli at the minute, and who knows what it'll be like when he gets out the other side of it. I think Monza is an important one for him, given it's his home race. Obviously, he crashed there in practice last year when he stepped in. It's important he can find something like stable to build off of than sort of what he's experiencing at the minute.
For sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think it's so difficult because he's got a pressure no other rookie has, in the fact that he is in a top team. I mean, this incident, I've seen so many conversations about, should he be demoted? Should he be in this car at the moment? have they made a mistake not signing somewhere else? Which is obviously conversations we were having at the end of last year. But I liked. This is going to sound so stupid now until I explain myself. I liked the move because it showed he was going for it. Like, he wasn't giving up, and the passion's there, you know. And sometimes when a driver's low on confidence, and you see maybe they're having bad performances, and obviously because they're lower down, and F1 just loves showing the leaders driving around by themselves, you don't see them. So you look at them get like an awful position to what they had been getting when they were on there in the purple patch. You don't really know what's going on with that driver. So yeah, I like the move from Antonelli. Very audacious, which I think is my word of the day apparently. But yeah, I liked it. It was also quite satisfying watching the Ferrari spin around. I know I shouldn't say that, but I did kind
Ambition
of
over adhesion.
Exactly. But yeah, I did see Antonelli actually went into the Ferrari garage to apologise, which I think most drivers do. I just don't think it gets picked up a lot by roaming cameras. Either that, or he was signing his Ferrari contract for next year. Who knows what he was doing in that Ferrari garage?
Well, you know, Lewis retiring, Antonelli and the Ferrari, you know.
Let's see it.
Albon and the Merc, you know, we'll just, we'll start
No,
everything.
I'd happily see Albon in the top team, but you know how I feel about Alex Albon.
Stroll in the Red Bull.
Oh God, could you imagine? Aston Martin Red Bull comes back. That partnership comes back, and you've got Stroll next to Verstappen.
Oh, it'd be great fun for everyone other than me. But there we go.
I mean, let's now get on to, I think, the point everybody's clicked on this podcast for, and that is the major shift in the championship with Lando Norris having I believe it's something to do with oil leak. I want to say it was, yeah, oil leak, and yeah, 5 years of perfect reliability is now gone, and with that, 34 points down to Oscar Piastri, just like that. How F1 can change in just a split second.
I mean, it sort of counterbalances some of the luck that Lando has had this season. I mean, we look at Australia, we look at Silverstone, we look at Hungary. It sort of counterbalances some of that a little bit, and there's some of the luck that Oscar hasn't potentially had a lot of this season. I think in terms of things that have gone Oscar's way in terms of luck, I mean, Jeddah qualifying with Lando crashing out sort of gave him an easy pole. From then, I mean, nothing really springs to mind in terms of luck. I mean, Spa maybe you could consider with Lando not being able to catch him despite having the better strategy. You thought he was gone in Oscar's favour, but other than that, it's been mostly in Lando's favour. A lot of the luck, a lot of the big moments, and a lot of the big swings. But this is one that's gone Oscar's way. Obviously, it can still affect Oscar coming up. You know, we've still got plenty of races left. Reliability is never out of the question. It's just a bit like in 2016, when you've got two teammates that are so competitive with one another, it's a lot of hard work if your opponent doesn't also get a reliability issue, because 34 points, all Austin needs to do is finish second when he can't beat Lando and win 3 or 4 races, and then he's fine.
Do you think, though, this will stick in the back of his mind of, we have had one car go out, this isn't impossible, like it's felt? Does that stick in the back of his mind? Because obviously if he gives up too many points, lets Lando back within that 25-point range, then he has an engine failure. With how good that McLaren's been, that normally is a 25-point swing. Obviously, that'd be huge for the championship. does that play on Oscar a bit going into these last 8 rounds? Last 8 rounds, that's insane. How we still got 8 to go?
I mean, I think he'll. I mean, I feel like they'll always be aware of the
Yeah.
potential issues of reliability, but I feel like he knows he has a points gap. He knows
Mm.
that, Baku, Qatar, we've still got left. There are 2 races where he'll feel he can win. Um, and at the rest, potentially some sort of damage limitation. But obviously, he's got to play it just sort of by how the weekend goes. I don't. It's not necessarily about giving up too many points. It's just maximizing your result if you can't catch Lando. Um, and that's all he'll need to do. I expect Lando to get a bit more aggressive. That might lead to some mistakes. Just because he knows he's got a points gap to try and claw back. So I still think we'll see a couple of collisions between Lando and Oscar before the end of the season. Um, but yeah, I think it definitely puts Oscar in the driving seat. But I definitely think, unlike what a lot of people have said, I still think the championship fight is very much on. And people that are saying it's over, I think, are speaking very prematurely. Um,
Mm.
I mean, we've seen how things can change. 4 races to go of 2021, it looked like Max's championship to lose. And then heading into Abu Dhabi, it looked very much like Lewis was the favourite. I mean, even 1 lap to go, it looked like, you know what I mean? We got to about 15 laps to go, and it looked like Lewis had it sewn up, and then he didn't end up winning it. So it
Yeah.
can change so quickly that nothing can ever be ruled out until it's mathematically impossible.
I mean, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. I've got nothing to add to it. The only thing I would say is I also agree. I think this championship's still wide open. 34 points is not a lot in Formula One, and I think unless a driver gets to 50, that's the only time they're really in the driver's seat. Which Oscar's, if you look at like the issues Oscar had, maybe you take a couple moments out. Obviously, if you take moments out for Oscar, you'd take moments out for Lando. So this isn't a great comparison. But you take out certain points out of the season, and Oscar could be miles ahead in this championship. Like he could be over 2 rounds ahead. You look at Australia, you look at Silverstone. There's probably more that I'm forgetting. He could quite easily have that 50-point gap. But
Yeah,
that's
I
just
mean,
the
even
way
if
the
we
season's gone.
just flipped Australia and had Lando finishing ninth and Oscar winning, I mean, if I
Mm.
can do the maths real quick, which, we'll see about that one. Uh,
Don't worry, we'll put the countdown music over this.
yeah, cheers. I think it would be an 80-point gap if we just flipped Australia around.
Now that'd be impossible, wouldn't it?
No, because so Lando would lose 23,
Yeah.
so that would put it
Oh,
on, and then
yeah.
Oscar would gain 23 because Oscar would win.
Mm. So yeah, that's a 46-point swing. So yeah,
And then
80
40,
points.
yeah. So
Crazy.
if you flipped the script on Australia, Oscar Piastri would be 80 points clear.
Mental. 3 rounds up. Well,
Mm,
shows how much moments define this sport.
yeah.
Just like we've really said, it really proves our point. So this championship's not over, and as much as I back Oscar to win it, I don't think Landy's going to go down quietly because this was his championship to win. I mean, when you look back around one, it was nobody was asking Oscar, "Do you think you can win a championship this year?" It was all Lando, "You're going to win it this year. You're going to win it." I mean, after the fifth time he was asked it, some other media guy said, "No, what? I need to make sure I get this answer from him. Are you going to win a championship this year?" So, like, he was clear favourite, but Oscar's really come in and taken the reins. The only thing I could say that maybe we could see a difference in this latter half is Oscar was not good in the latter half of last season compared to Lando. Obviously, Oscar has leveled up this year, but Lando had very much the reins over him last year at these final few rounds. So I'd be interested to see how that's changed this year. And look, if I see another Baku 2018, but between the two McLarens, I will. I don't know what I'll do, but it'll be absolute
Leave
cinema.
your
That's all I'm
suggestions
saying.
down in the comments, please.
what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
there you go. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, still wide open. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. It should be good fun. And also, to be fair,
For
Zandvoort
sure, for
last
sure.
year, Lando dominated, and we sort of expected that to happen. And Oscar came out and really controlled the weekend from Saturday onwards. So, if that's a sign
Yeah.
of things to come, Lando is in a bit of a problem.
Yeah, he's got a long a last third to go, that's for sure. Right, let's head on to the Gouda scale. If you haven't listened to one of these podcasts before, the Gouda scale is our driver ratings, and we rate them from 1 to 10, and we give you a nice little average. We just roll through these. We used to talk about every driver, but it made podcasts very long and very repetitive, so we're just going to fire through these. And quite a few 2-point differences I'm noticing here, which is very interesting. But anyway. All right, so for Lando Norris, I gave him an 8. Bradley gave him a 7, averaging out to a 7.5. We both agreed with a 10 for Oscar Piastri. Great weekend from him. Max Verstappen, I give an 8. Bradley gave a 9, averaging out to an 8.5. For Sonoda, we both agreed on a 5. For Leclerc, I gave him a 7. Bradley gave him a 6, averaging out to a 6.5. This one hurts, this next one. Hamilton, I had to give a 2. Bradley gave a 1, averaging out to a 1.5. That's painful. Big difference here. For George Russell, I gave him a 7. Bradley gave him a 5, averaging out to a 6. For Antonelli, I gave him a 5. Bradley gave him a 3, averaging out to a 4. For Alonso, I gave him a 6. Bradley gave him a 5, averaging out to 5.5. For Stroll, I gave him an 8. Bradley gave him a 6, so I
By
went
2
higher
points as well.
with Stroll than he did. Crazy scenes. By 2 points, that's insane. Averaging out to a 7. Albon, I gave an 8. Bradley gave a 7, averaging out to a 7.5. We're back to the status quo there. For Sainz, I gave a 7. Bradley gave a 6, averaging out to 6.5. For Gasly, I gave a 2, and Bradley gave him a 3, averaging out to a 2.5. For Colapinto, I gave him a 5. Bradley gave him a 6, averaging out to a 5.5. For Esteban Ocon, we both agreed on a 7. For Behrman, we both agreed on a 9. For Isaac Hadjar, we both agreed on a 10. For Liam Lawson, I gave him a 3. Bradley gave him a 2, averaging out to 2.5. For Nico Hulkenberg, I gave him a 4. Bradley gave him a 3, averaging out to a 3.5. And for Bortoletto, it's the same as Hulkenberg. I gave him a 4. Bradley gave him a 3, averaging out to 3.5. There is one I want to talk about, actually, and that is Lance Stroll. Why so low?
Quali was a big sticking point. I think given where the car was looking in practice, I mean, obviously in quali it didn't really work out that way, and I think in race pace we had taken a significant level down. But where we initially started the weekend and where there was such good hope for him to bin it in the way that he did, and obviously we end up not getting a quali lap out of him, is disappointing. And then in terms of the actual race, he did well to get where he was. It wasn't a stellar drive by any means, but it was sort of forced upon him because of a disappointing quali. And so, obviously, looking at the weekend as a whole, it's still a decent set of points, but could have been more with a better quali potentially.
For sure, for sure. Now, let's head on to our driver of the day. We have both agreed on Isaac Hadjar. I don't think this should shock anybody. We've agreed on Isaac Hadjar. Obviously, we didn't talk about him in the talking points because we want to talk about him here, and we'll probably talk about him at length here. P3. In that car, obviously, the second Red Bull car, whenever it gets a podium, you know whoever's in that car has done a stellar job. And Hadjar smashed it, and it comes in a race where there was no chaos. Well, not as much chaos as you would expect for a driver in that car to be up there. all it took was one drive to be displaced, which was Lando, and he had the measure of the two Ferraris. So you can't even like argue, oh, hang on, there was two Ferraris didn't finish. He had the measure of them.
Mm.
I mean, this was a brilliant performance by him, which could lead to his demotion to the second Red Bull seat, which I don't think anybody's hoping for, especially with that deadline set by Helmut Marko being in October. So could we see Hadjar in that Red Bull seat next year? I think most of us are saying hopefully not. But this is an amazing drive, and this only gets crazy when you think at the start of the season he crashed on the formation lap and he was at the lowest low, and then he gets a podium fully on merit, no chaos around Zandvoort in the second Red Bull seat. Insane.
Yeah. I mean, qualified P4 was only out-qualified by the stupidly quick McLarens that at one point were a second a lap quicker than any other driver, which was kind of crazy. And then Max, who is arguably the best driver on the grid right now.
Yeah.
Other than that, Hadjar had the measure of the rest. Both Mercs, both Ferraris, the second Red Bull seat. But yeah, no, really strong quality, and he was able to just hold that position and stay ahead comfortably of those behind, and then was just there to pick up the pieces. I mean, I was a little bit worried with that final safety car. I did just sort of want him to just go and pull away, and thankfully he did and held on to it. But yeah, no, pleased for him. I mean, it's crazy to think he has more podiums than Hamilton. But we've had some great podiums this year. I mean, obviously we've had Hulkenberg, we've had Antonelli, now Hadjar, and it excites me that there's potential for more as we get on. Maybe Yuki finds something in that second Red Bull seat and things go wrong with those up front, and he'll snag a podium in a Red Bull 1-2 or something like that if the two McLarens crash. But I don't know. I think out of the ones that are left that haven't got a podium on the grid, because 15 of them have a podium, I mean, we're only looking at Behrman, Bortoletto, Tsunoda, Lawson, and Colapinto that don't have a podium. I mean, out of those, I don't know who I would like to see on a podium next. I mean, I think quite a few of them deserve it for different reasons. But yeah, it makes for an exciting who's going to be next sort of thing for the rest of the season.
It's a crazy stat, isn't it? Especially when you come into this year and you had 7 rookies on the grid, and then you get to this point and you're like, we've got 15 drivers who have a podium this year, and one of them isn't a rookie. Not this year, sorry, in their career. And one of them isn't a rookie. So, I mean, yeah, it's an insane year for podiums, first podiums. Yeah, I mean, insane to see, definitely. Let's move on to Under the Radar. I'm going to get my one out the way first, because I think I've got a bit less to say, possibly, because we've kind of mentioned him already. I've gone for Lance Stroll. And although the qualifying was woeful, I think in the race he did an amazing job. When there is that little bit of chaos, like I wouldn't say the race was chaotic. There was moments, but when there is a lot of safety cars, Stroll just always seems to just spawn in P7. Like, it happens every time, and like I just don't know how he does it, because you watch him you watch him in a normal race and you go, not really lighting the world on fire for the most part. There is obviously races in his career where he has, but you every time there's like multiple safety cars, you just look and all of a sudden he's just catapulted and he's just there and he's chilling and nobody really picks him up on the broadcast and he's just there. And I don't think anybody ever like figures it out live. Wait, hang on a minute, how has Stroll got there? And no other driver does it like him.
Oh, I definitely am very fully aware of Lance's, but you know, I'm
I meant on
possibly
that.
the only one.
I meant in the commentary.
Oh
Like
yeah, well,
nobody in
you know,
commentary points it out. It's
there.
insane. Like this
Leave
has
it to
happened
me.
so many times this year.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fair enough. Yeah, I mean I'll take the points as an Aston fan. I mean,
Mm.
some big points scored by midfield teams this race. Obviously, we've had Charles Podium, Albon P5. I mean, he's another shout, to be fair, for under the radar, because he just sort of appeared
Oh,
there. But
yeah.
there's quite a few shouts, and I think the reason why is because all the plaudits, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve them, but obviously we've got the Norris engine failure, which people are talking about. We've obviously all got all the plaudits for Hadjar's podium. So there's quite a few candidates for under the radar because of the unusual nature of the podium this week. For me, correct me if I'm wrong, I've gone for Ollie Behrman.
Yeah, you wrote that.
Yeah, I did write that, a while ago now, about 45 minutes ago, but there we go. Yeah, Behrman, I mean, start from pit lane, sort of just got a career best P6. Excuse me. And yeah, just chilling. Loved it.
I'm from pit lane as well.
It's
Insane.
a very good drive, and obviously has double points as well, and fair play to both of them, but Behrman especially.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to shock of the race. Do you remember yours? Because I'll let you start off if you remember.
Mine, I mean, look, the FIA, they've done it again. It can't go on like this. I think something has to change. But yeah, it's just, once again, we're talking about them, and they've come back from summer break, and half of them are still in Ibiza. Just chilling, mindless. It's just annoying and frustrating.
It's fair. It's very fair. How many shock the races have we had with the FIA this year? I feel like they at least get a little segment in this podcast every single race week. But maybe Monza will see a new leaf. Who knows? For my shock of the race, I've gone for Lando Norris ending that perfect 5-year reliability streak. First off, when this streak got pointed out to me, I just didn't think it was right. I was like, Belgium wasn't that long ago. Belgium was that long ago. And it's very quiet how good that McLaren reliability is. I think the sport has got better in reliability in general. But 5 years for Lando Norris to not have any reliability issues is insane. And if you asked him now, he'd probably say, "Oh, I would have preferred more reliability issues in the last 5 years and not have it now." He probably would say that. But
I'm also now doubting that stat. I don't think it's that much more recently. I mean, I swear he had a problem in Mugello, didn't he?
I googled it, and the only races it brought up was from 2019, and it was in Belgium and Germany. Those are the only two races that came up when I looked up reliability issues. So I think it's correct, though Google might be holding out on me there. But yeah, obviously awful timing. But it could be worse timing. This could have been the round before. This could have been the second to last round, and the championship's closed. It's 9 points. Oh, if Lando wins here, it's 2 points going into the last round, and then the car goes boom, and Oscar celebrates a round early. It could have been that tragic. It wasn't, because Lando still has time, and I think people need to remember that. But yeah, it was probably the most shocking part of the race for me. All right, and the final thing we need to go over.
Yeah, nice.
It's everybody's favorite bit. It's our bit. It's the prediction championship. Not much excitement for this weekend out of either of us. I don't think either of us were really looking at the prediction stuff going, "Oh, here we go," because we both agreed on everything going into this weekend. Which means, yeah, we just kind of we watched, and this was the most calm F1 weekend I've ever had for this season, because I didn't have to worry about the prediction championship.
Yep.
But with that, it was 3 points for us. I didn't actually write down what we got right, but I'm going to quickly check. Okay, so we got the shock
best constructor
and best constructor. Everything else we got wrong because we put all the eggs in the Lando Norris basket. and if Lando
And he
had a good
screwed us
weekend,
once again.
once again, we both went for the Max Verstappen driver of the day, which he got second, but then Isaac Hadjar happened. So yep, nothing exciting. We did get shock Q1 exit, which is always good. But best constructor, I was shocked we still got that because I was doing the points. I was like, oh, this might be tight, but no, we actually got it and by a good amount as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, +3, which means a little update for you. I am still leading. I'm on 50 points. Hit the big milestone of 50, and Bradley is only 2 behind with 48. So
Look at it as well.
all to play for. Very close. Luckily, one of us can't have a reliability issue next round, so you know it's going to stay close, hopefully.
I don't know, you just
Yeah.
disappear for a podcast and I just predict anyway.
Yeah. That shouldn't happen unless I disappear in the next 10 minutes in between this podcast and the Monster podcast.
I know a man. It's fine.
Brilliant. And while I fear for my life, I'd like to tell you thank you guys so much for listening or watching this podcast. We are excited to be back, and we look forward to Monza. If you want to go, if you want to find out, if you want a bit more of us, you can go check out our TikTok. Bradley runs it and does a great job over there, and puts in screenshots of Alonso in second, and for some reason gets the most views out of any TikTok we've ever done. But I digress. We are not an Aston Martin fan
That was
channel.
literally about 40 seconds work, but you know, we love it. It's what works.
We love TikTok. So yeah, if
Yeah.
that's something that sounds interesting to you, go check us out on TikTok at the Gouda GP. All right, and with that, I'll thank you guys again so much, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.
Ciao.